of former slaves and the sons of former slave owners will be able to sit down together at the table of brotherhood. I have a dream that one day, even the state of Mississippi, a state sweltering with the heat of injustice, sweltering with the heat of oppression, will be transformed into an oasis of freedom and justice. I have a dream that my 4 little children will one day live in a nation where they will not be judged by the color of their skin, but by the content of their character. I have a dream today I have a dream that one day down in Alabama, with its vicious racists, with its governor having his lips dripping with the words of interposition and nullification, one day right there in Alabama, little black boys and black girls will be able to join hands with little white boys and white girls as sisters and brothers. I have a dream today. I have a dream that one day every valley shall be exalted, and every hill and mountain shall be made low. The rough places will be made plain, and the crooked places will be made straight. And the glory of the Lord shall be revealed, and all flesh shall see it together. This is our hope. This is a faith that I go back to the South with. With this faith, we will be able to hew out of the mountain of despair a stone of hope. With this faith, we will be able to transform the jangling discords of our nation into a beautiful symphony of brotherhood.
A very beautiful morning to you and welcome to Crossfire on Udala 104.7 FM. This very beautiful morning, today being Saturday, and it's a very lovely day here in the city of Onitsha in Anambra State, Nigeria. And today is sanitation exercise going on in different parts of the state, and obviously the last Saturday in the month of February, and also the last day as well in the month of February in the year 2026. We speak the truth here, and we profess the truth, and we uphold the truth. We call a spade, and we can never call a spade by any other name. That's more reason we say, not this era veritas, and not this era ayudicin veritas, and not this era vivica cabit veritas, not this era lingolum, and not this era contra lingolum. You're welcome wherever you are listening to us from. This is Crossfire on Udala 104.7 FM, where we look at issues and we examine these issues, put them in proper perspectives, and then bet these issues the way they are. You are welcome, and I know many of you are well seated listening to this very program. You're welcome once again. My name is Tony Olisa Mbeki, the Honorable Speaker, and we will tell you that we are quite loaded this very morning. We'll be looking at quite a number of topical issues. we'll be looking at the electoral amendment, the rejection by the opposition, and not just electoral amendment, the appointment of the new Inspector General of Police and the controversies surround such an appointment, and then many feelings around here in the East that one of our own was not even considered to such plumb position. And we also look at what is going on in a state. We saw yesterday the state high court convicted a popular native doctor, and many would also want to know the intrigues and what really transpired. There was something said, plea bargain, and things like that. We would also not just leave you there. We'll come down to Anambra State, the demolition exercise at Onitsha Market, and so many more we have for you this very morning. Joining me to look at these very issues and other attendant issues as well, we have in the studio with us this very morning Barrister Chibu Enwezo. Remember, he is a traditional title holder in Onitsha Ancient Kingdom, Odezlibo, a legal practitioner, a public affairs analyst, and also a public affairs commentator, former member of Anambra State House of Assembly, and also he was former chairman, the Judiciary and Justice Committee of the State Assembly. You're welcome, Honorable Chibu Enwezo.
Thank you very much, Tony Olisambeke. Good morning, our listeners.
You are welcome. Let's quickly serve you the political roundup stories. When we are done, we'll let you know the situation of things around these issues we have mentioned this morning. We begin with the very first story. President Bola Ahmed Tinubu yesterday hosted Governor Bala Muhammad of Bauchi State at the presidential villa in Abuja. The meeting sparked a lot of reactions because it held hours after Governor Amadu Finturi of Adamawa State dumped the People's Democratic Party (PDP) for the ruling All Progressives Congress (APC), leaving Muhammad as the lone PDP governor in the entire northeastern region. That's the governor of Bauchi State. The African Democratic Congress (ADC) has rejected the revised 2026-2027 electoral timetable released by the Independent National Electoral Commission (INEC), alleging that it contains booby traps designed to exclude opposition parties and pave the way for President Bola Tinubu's unopposed return in the 2027 general elections. The Federal High Court sitting in Maitama, Abuja, on Friday ordered the remand of the former Attorney General of the Federation and Minister of Justice Abubakar Malami back to Kuje Correctional Center. Joyce Abdulmalik sent Malami alongside his wife, Hajia Bashir Asebe, and their son, Abubakar Abdulaziz Malami, back to the facilities pending the determination of their bail applications. The Commandant General CG of the Nigeria Security and Civil Defense Corps, NSCDC, Dr. Ahmed Audi, yesterday bowed out of service after reaching the mandatory retirement age and completing his tenure. Audi celebrated his last day in office while commemorating the 2026 World Civil Defense Day on Friday at the NSCDC headquarters, Abuja. Governor Ahmadu Finturi of Adamawa State has finally joined the All Progressives Congress (APC). Finturi picked up membership card of the APC at Kewuro Ngayandi Ward in Madagali local government area of the state yesterday. An Anambra State High Court sitting in Oka has sentenced the 10th native doctor Chidozie Nwangu, popularly known as Akwoko Kotiwarake, to 12 years imprisonment. The presiding judge, Justice Jude Obiora, found Nwangu guilty on count 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and 8, sentencing him to 2 years on each count, and the court, however, struck out one counts 1, 2, 9, and 10. But the story we have here in Anambra State says it's just 11 months as against what we have here. But we are going to look at the issue because it's one of the issues we are going to look into. National Bureau of Statistics (NBS) on Friday said Nigeria's economy sustained its recovery momentum in the fourth quarter of 2025, with the real gross domestic product (GDP) expanding by 4.07% year-on-year, driven largely by continued growth in the service sector and improved oil output. And the Tanimu Turaki-led National Working Committee of the People's Democratic Party (PDP) has commended judgment of the High Court of Oyo State, affirming the party's national convention in the state. The party's National Publicity Secretary, Ini Emebong, in a statement on Friday in Abuja, described it as a vindication of both facts and law. And finally, the Federal High Court in Abuja on Friday fixed March 18 for ruling in the trial-winning trial being conducted in the money laundering case involving Ali Bello, the Chief of Staff to Governor Usman Ododo of Kogi State, and the co-defendant, Mr. Dauda Suleiman. Justice James Omotosho fixed the date after lawyers to parties made their final submissions and adopted their final written addresses in the trial-winning trial. And that's all we have for you. And those were your news roundup stories. We move straight to other business and the businesses as well. We have this very morning. We'll first begin with the first national issue. We are going to begin with the first national issue, just as we mentioned earlier on, because we learned that the opposition, when we talk about opposition, those who are not members of the ruling party, they have rejected the electoral amendment, the 2026 amendment of electoral law, our electoral act as we have it here. But they cited a lot of reasons which they maintained, and they say that they are not going to accept the electoral amendment. They also rejected even the electoral timetable, saying that the INEC has set boo-boo traps, that's the way they define it, paving way for the unopposed return of President President Bola Ahmed Tinubu. And if you look around, the figures, former Vice President Atiku Abubakar, former presidential candidate Peter Obi, and former governors Rotimi Amechi and Rauf Arebochola, they publicly rejected the newly signed Electoral Act 2026, describing it as anti-democratic and deliberate attempt by the ruling All Progressives Congress to manipulate the 2027 general elections. They accused the law assented to by Mr. President on February 18 of containing obnoxious provisions aimed at subverting the will of the people, weakening opposition parties, corrupting the electoral system, paving the way for one-party states. And of course, their key concern, if you look at it, it has to do with Section 60, Subsection 3, which permits the Independent National Electoral Commission, INEC, to fall back on manual transmission of results using Form EC8A if electronic real-time transmission fails due to network issues. And if you look at it, they say that Nigeria has over 90% internet coverage, and this was also manifested in many ways and in many attributes. Let's get you talking, Honorable Chibwe, because we know very well that we can go on to explain their thoughts and their feelings and what they said. But the key thing is, are they in the right track?
Thank you very much, Tony Olisambeki, and good morning once again, our listeners. This is not really an issue of the opposition. This issue has to do with the interest of Nigeria, so it's not, except that some people actually will champion the issue, but it has to do with the governance of Nigeria. It has to do with the welfare of Nigerian people, and at the foundation of the good governance is a democratic principle, a democratic practice of democratic principles that ensures that the will of the people always prevails. When these are subverted, what you have is whims and caprices. What you have is maladministration. What you have is impunity. What you have is people usurping the powers of the people. Section 13 of the Nigerian Constitution, Directive Principle of State Policy, Chapter 2. Section 13 says, it shall be the duty of all persons, all government, and all persons exercising executive, legislative, and judicial powers to abide, conform, and apply the provisions of this chapter of the Constitution. That's Chapter 2. Section 14, 1 says, the Nigerian state is based on a principle of democracy and social justice. Accordingly, it's accordingly declared that sovereignty belongs to the people of Nigeria, from which government, through this constitution, derive its authority. Section 14.2 says, the security and the welfare of the people is the primary purpose of government. So you see, these are the principles that we need to really put into focus when we want to talk about. So, from all is happening, can we say it is geared towards ensuring that sovereignty lies with the people, through whom government derives its power? So if it is good in such a way that people, the Nigerian people, will be sidelined, Nigerian people will be undermined, their will be undermined. If it is good in such a way that somebody will be saying, as we hear today in Nigeria, I am the one who made this man governor. I am the one who appointed or who was responsible for the position of all the senators, everybody. I am the person. So it's no longer democracy. It's government of, even though we are labeling it democracy, it's no longer democracy. So these are the things that the Electoral Act is meant to deal with, to ensure that the will of the people prevail. But where it is done in such a way as to use the machinery of the law to achieve an opposite result, in the sense that the law is being used to manipulate, to ensure that the will of the people is subjugated, then people must, the right-thinking people in society, have a duty to disown such, have a duty to oppose, to raise issues. And that, I believe that is what the opposition is doing. And I believe they're not doing it only for themselves, they are doing it for the people of Nigerian people, the civil society, the press, everybody. We should be concerned at what is happening. Because if we don't have a democracy, or if we pretend to have a democracy, when we don't have a democracy in real terms, it is the people suffers, the system suffers, the institutions suffer as it is suffering today. So everyone, each and every one of us should be concerned, and should also lend his or her voice at ensuring that INEC, created under Section 154 of the Constitution, remains an independent body whose responsibility is to conduct free and fair and credible election. But as it is now, and as we have seen since the inception of this dispensation, INEC, with all due respect, has not lived up to that responsibility, and and people attribute some of these lapses to the laws. That's why there has been effort to straighten the laws. But when the laws, when efforts are made to straighten the laws, what of the observance of people, Nigerian people, and it is most people and people in authority also make effort to see how they will subvert the law. So all these amendments, 1999 is 2003 Electoral Act, 2006, 2000, we've amended Electoral Acts. What have we gained? Has that resulted into a better, freer electoral process? That has not happened. So what is the problem? Is it the fact? Is it actually the issue of the laws, or the issue of the players, Nigerian people, impunity, people doing what they want in the system, and other people not doing what they need to do to ensure that the the system is preserved.
I want to ask you because Honorable Shibo, I wouldn't want this to serve more. Maybe I don't want us to serve religious pastors who have come to preach and then sermonize on how things should be, how things will work. I'm looking at the real politics. Let's talk politics because we know very well that everybody knows what is right. But the issue is doing what is right, even against your own interests, against whatever you intend to gain, would also help the society. That's the preaching part of it. Let's talk about real politics. I asked the question, the opposition, do they have any point in rejecting the Electoral Act 2026 as amended, rejecting the timetable? The two excuses they cited in such rejection, they said it is anti-democratic. Is there anything anti-democratic about the new Electoral Act? That's one. And secondly, they say that it is a pure succession plan for President Bola Ahmed Tinubu, something that has been conscripted, put together to ensure his succession and one-party state. These allegations, are they true based on the knowledge you have?
Responding to your question, you see, when people make statements, I mean, it is left for them to give flesh to those. But for me, I think clearly, if the Electoral Act is meant to, based on our past experiences, to improve the electoral system, this Electoral Act amendment is like nothing has happened to change this system.
Oh, it hasn't improved anything.
It hasn't improved anything.
Even when he removed the issue of delegate primaries and then trying to expand the money politicians like you can spend.
The issue of primary is secondary.
It's secondary.
Now, the fundamental issue, as played out in the various, during the last election, as played out in various court decisions,
yes,
is the primary issue of transmitting the result in real time, so that it not to give room for manipulation, either at the collection center, at the local government, or not to give room real time, so every Nigerian will see what is happening at every polling unit. That, of course, will actually minimize, if not totally eliminate, the scourge of mutilation. When you see most of these results, if you happen to be election tribunal, you see mutilation and things like that. Now, and also one of the suggestions made is that it should be the INEC should get the responsibility of showing whenever elections are challenged. It's the duty of INEC to first of all prove that the election was conducted in accordance with the provision, of the Electoral Act. But now, somebody is dissatisfied with the outcome of an election, making all these allegations. The law says he has to prove. But INEC, the person who conducted that election, who under the law is supposed to comply with the provisions of the law, is supposed to do things that he needs to do to make. No onus is placed on the person, on the authority. But you also need INEC to INEC will come and will not be able to say, listen, lay the template, this is what we've done, we have complied with the Electoral Act, and so on and so forth. We have done, then anybody will now. But that is not the case. So these are the things that we improve. These are things that are meant to. And I don't think it was reflected in this Electoral Act. Basically, we are saying, why don't we have a situation where the polling booth results, when uploaded real time, as soon as they are counted, upload to the IRF. Everybody will see it. It doesn't give room for anybody to manipulate. Now, the proviso that says, in the event, or if there is no network, then INEC will resort, the president will resort to manual
collection.
That is what we think. That's what I also think. I agree that this is a room that is created. It offers the elbow room for electoral malpractice.
So you think that
so nothing is like motion without movement.
So that was not necessary in the first instance. Do you think that the network cannot break down?
If not break down, how many? Okay, in entire Nigeria, are we saying if there is no network in few places?
In some places,
or in few, is that enough to now put a clause that has the capacity?
So what the clause? What do you think the clause would have been?
They did not need to put any clause.
All they
need to do is to the law speak in positive.
So what it means that if network disrupt, they should wait whenever network is right.
What is wrong with that? If network, if in few, it's been shown, and from all I've gathered, they've had series of consultations. Even INEC made input during the joint meetings, during their consultation. They said, look, that network is not a problem. That it can be done. How come network has become a problem during the passage of the
But there are times you want to make call, network will not be there. What do you do?
Making calls, and eventually making calls.
Most time you want to access internet, network won't be there. So what do you do?
If before you use what is it now? The one you use for accreditation.
Beavers.
That must be network, isn't it?
No, most time it has offline and online. The accreditation is offline. Doesn't need network.
Then when you want to transmit, of course, there's no way, and INEC has which resources has been approved for INEC to ensure
that some of these things work.
To ensure
that it works.
That it works. Extra resources for the purpose of.
So you are saying it was intentional for them to manipulate.
If we deploy a lot of resources to ensure that all these things happen the way they need to happen, why should we not begin to offer excuses to say if? What kind of if are you talking about? That if is, and if you have read or if you are conversant with decisions of the court based on this in INEC and OP, in INEC and Atiku and INEC and all those cases, you discover that this is the clear issue. This is the clear issue. So what is the problem? If you are saying we amend the Electoral Act and we are back to square one, it's like no amendment has been affected.
The only thing again is that IREV has been given legal status, even as before it wasn't sold. But for some people, they say that it's one of the gangs. IREV has been given legal status that the law says transmit electronically. But the only problem is the if condition.
Whatever gain, it's like a booby trap.
Oh, you are saying it's a booby trap?
It's like whatever gain that we think we can make has also been taken away by people saying there's no network.
What if there is network that very day? It means that the whole thing will be transmitted.
So that is why, because of the way we operate,
okay,
because of the way we are, are we saying that if we operate in a very sincere manner, if we operate, then I don't think these issues would have been necessary. If we know that even the INEC or the personnel will do their duty according to law, you see what I mean? Yeah. I don't think, but because of the fact that we are aware and we know that these things, compromises everywhere is the order of the day. You also know that even INEC itself, we cannot vouch for its independence. Of course, we know that's happened many times in this country, in this state. There have been elections where after the declaration, INEC now withdrew, say, look, these people who won are not the people who actually won. They now announce different people. And we say go to court. It just happened. It's happening. So based on this factual situation, what would have satisfied the yearnings of the people is that the right thing is put in the law. Don't give room.
But now we have this law because it's more like crying over a spilled milk. We have the law now, and the passage of that law followed every legislative process, where we saw the National Assembly calling division at one point for those who are in support or those who are against to queue up accordingly, and they did, and it was seen that there was no irregularity in such passage, but people have cited their concern. But now the president signed it into law. I think it was signed into law around February 18 or thereabouts. Now we have a law, electoral law, maybe not to the satisfaction of many Nigerians, but we have a law. The opposition rejecting it. What is the implication? What is the consequence?
Yes, when a law is passed or is enacted in accordance with the procedures, with the Constitution, as you have rightly observed, it's not a question of whether, because if the law was enacted contrary to the provisions of the Constitution, then they can go to challenge that law. The court will declare it null and void, unconstitutional. But once a law, that is why in a democracy, they say the majority we have is way, and the minority we have is say. You might not necessarily agree with everything, because the National Assembly has now been configured in such a way that it is peopled by the people APC. Whatever the APC wants now is done in the National Assembly, and once they follow the procedural process, if rejecting it, you don't reject. There's nothing you can do.
Oh, you mean that rejection is empty?
No, of course it's empty. It's nothing. There's nothing.
What if they boycott the election as part of rejecting it?
Election will go on.
And what happens?
Law says,
it will lose credibility.
No, Chris Law says if you boycott election, will not go on. If you boycott election, there must be people. People must be governor. People must be governor. There must be a president by May 29, 2027. There must be a president of Nigeria elected.
Okay.
Also applicable to states that where you need to conduct election. So if you boycott election, you have a right to boycott election. But what you don't have a right to do is to also to say because you boycott election that the result
or the election will not hold, or the result will not count.
Yeah.
But the question I want to ask,
that is the problem. But inherent in this situation is because of the lack of accountability.
Okay.
If majority of Nigerians are not happy with the laws made by the members of the National Assembly, and assuming that they are accountable to the people, that is why the Constitution has ways of making members of the legislature accountable to the people.
Okay.
But because those ways are not being seriously, followed or implemented or sustained, it makes them look as if they are free agents. They can do whatever they want, even what is not approved by their people.
Okay.
Assuming it's where it works the way it's supposed to work. When you act in such a way that your people now consider to be detrimental to anything, they will have to initiate the procedure for recall. But how do you now do it in this kind of
very,
situation?
very difficult.
So you see how, but assuming that it is working, people will be afraid to do anything which is not sanctioned by those people that elected them.
Now, I want to ask
you. Inherent in it is also the way people decamp from the party upon which the plan upon which they were elected to other parties without any sort of sanction, even though there's some provision in Section 109 of the Constitution. So these are things. These are the mutilations. These are things that tends to make our electoral system very unpredictable, very irascible. People do whatever they want without any sanction. And that is
I want to ask Honorable Chibwenwezo, because we want to leave this issue. We have got so many issues we want to talk on now. But I want to ask you, have said that opposition rejecting the Electoral Act as we have it is empty because it has or bears no consequence. That if you boycott election, a winner must be declared.
The rejection can only if they are saying the law was not properly passed.
That is where they can challenge
if they are
it.
saying the law was passed contrary to the provisions of the Constitution. But if they're not saying
they say that it's anti-democracy.
If they're not saying any of these things,
what about anti-democratic? That's what they said.
We are saying. I'm also saying that the law was wrong.
But that does not.
That is nothing. It was not made contrary to the provisions of the procedures of lawmaking in the National Assembly.
They followed
it. Followed. And people can make bad laws now. We can make bad laws. But that's why you can make bad or good laws. Yeah. At the end of the day, based on the pressure of the people, bad laws can also be amended or changed. But
so what do you advise the opposition to do now? Okay, now they have rejected the Electoral Act. What do you advise them?
My advice is not, the remedy does not lie in rejection, but based on, because they didn't say, nobody has said that the law was passed contrary to the provisions of the Constitution.
Okay.
That the procedures necessary for the passage of laws were not followed. Okay. Nobody has said that. Nobody has raised that issue. They're only saying that the majority has overwhelmed the other Nigerians in slaughtering or permitting to be slaughtered into the law what will not help our democracy for their own selfish. That is the point.
That's what they said. So then where does it take them?
Where it takes all of us is that we will continue to agitate. We will continue to, because boycott cannot be a remedy at all.
Oh, it cannot be a remedy.
I think you hear this gentleman, Peter, for what is it called now? Still making advancing Nigerians. Let us continue to urge,
to press
the National Assembly, to press members of the National Assembly that please, this is what we want you to do. If you fail to do, then we also apply sanctions. Either sanctions by not electing you back to the National Assembly.
Now,
so these are
these are ways they can just to continue to press, and then probably during the election ensure that those senators or House members were not re-elected.
Responsible in drawing us back.
That's what you are saying. That's the only way.
Because there is no.
What about those saying that why don't the opposition call on United States of America that's the only language the president thinks? Hold on. they say that Mr. President only leaks things to UX, especially when they come with their pressure. The likes of Rep. Riley Moore, Ted Cruz, that have been preaching about Christian persecution, that has also caused Mr. President to ensure cooperation and do certain things, that if they say that Nigeria should ensure credible, free, fair election, have their electoral act right, listen to, meeting these people to make comments on Nigeria, that it will make the National Assembly to at least to retrace their step, to maybe review some of the things they have done, to see that they are being monitored by the world superpower. So with this, people who have called this, they are saying the only change it's going to bring is to make them to review what they have done.
Let me.
What about those who have made such calls?
You see, I am a lawyer, a very senior one at that, and I am versed in the principles of international law. I think that last time I came here, we dealt with the issue of interference, and I said, and I agree that the foreign countries can interfere in domestic affairs if it has to do with security or human rights abuses.
Exactly.
These are the exceptions to the general rule.
Yeah, exactly.
But in Paris, no habit in Peru. If the countries equality, the laws, each country is not subject to the law, it's subject to the laws of another country.
Yeah.
So this is not, and this is purely domestic affairs.
Electoral issues.
This is purely internal affairs of Nigerian state. Unlike the issue of security, terrorism, which has international
or human rights violation.
Because anywhere in the world where you have human rights violation, other countries could be affected. In the event of people having to
refugees and all that,
it creates international problem. Therefore, the assertion has been made, that in such a situation, it gives the other country can interfere in the so-called domestic affairs. If your domestic affair is to cause insecurity, is to allow terrorism, is to engage in a killing of one tribe or the other, then international community must have. But if it has to do with the way you conduct your elections, because you have chosen democracy, nobody imposes democracy on you. It is your choice to say, look, we are going to practice democracy.
Why do we have international observers during elections? Because they monitor these elections. They like to make sure that their things are done rightly.
That is why you call them observers.
You call them observers.
They cannot do more.
They give their reports. And remember, there are times a country may say, we do not recognize you as a president. We've seen that. United States of America said they did not recognize the Venezuelan president as a president. So they can never accord him or treat him as a president. That was why they arrested him.
You call them. Let me deal with.
Okay, please.
International. I might have an appointment. I say, please come and observe. The observer does not have any. You just observe and you write your report. To that, even most of these reports, all of them or most of them have been rejected in our courts. They said, look, court to report. Our laws are clear. Elections are held. Anybody who is dissatisfied, we have to go to court, to the tribunal or to the court of appeal if it is the president election within 21 days and blah 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 blah. The court decides. They don't take into cognizance the report of international observers in coming to a decision in those courts. But it's just meant to. Nigeria is not. People can come around to say observe and see how you do things, to see if they will actually adopt some of these things to do, or if they will also see how they can also do things differently in their places. So he has no beyond observing. It has not really a real.
So the issue of calling on US to add pressure on Nigeria to get things right. They did this during the time of Jonathan. Remember, there was time the opposition made so much propaganda that they brought the attention of the United States of America during the preparation for 2015 election. We saw the then U.S. president asking Nigerian president to make sure that elections were conducted free and fair. They were making comments, and we saw some arms dealings, some businesses that transpired between Nigeria seems to be tilting or supporting the opposition ways to take over power. We know that international observers, they don't have much role, but they have a way of influencing things locally. Just like we said earlier on, Venezuela had an election, and when they had an election, the last election they had, I think it was in 2022 or thereabouts, and even in fact, the election UX said that election was flawed, that they will not recognize it. We saw how, just like I said earlier on, we saw how opposition was actually treated prior to that election, how they were muzzled, how they were schemed out. U.S. started warning Venezuela, telling Venezuela if they do not get things right, look at the consequences. And we have also seen many countries where for one reason or the other, some countries reject election. We've seen China rejecting elections in some places. And then we also seen, you can go to even Kosovo. They say that these elections were not rightly done.
Let us put it in proper perspective.
Let's go.
If you reject an election in another country, what is the consequences? What do you do there? Do you now go and say, look, you must conduct?
You won't treat them, I call them the protocol design.
Tony Olusempe,
yeah,
you're my friend. You can decide that we're not going to be friends.
Yes.
Will you stop me from moving around doing my thing my own? So you see, it's also applied like that in the international community. If you think that election, or you feel that this country, a particular country is perverting the course of in the internal affairs, you don't have right to invade. You don't have right to. You talk about US. Let's deal with the issue of US and Venezuela. There are violations. That's why I have violations in international law. So these are violations. And the UN is saying, look, these are violations. So that's why you have violations by super powers of international protocol, of international law. So that's why, and it remains what it is, violations. But to talk about or try to, you can talk about, but trying to interfere in the internal affairs of another country with issue of election. I've told that's not one of the areas any country can interfere. But a country can say, look, because it can decide to say, because I don't like the way you operate, I'm not going to be friendly with you. I'm not going to do this kind of business with you. I understand what I mean? They will decide I'm not going to be friendly. That doesn't mean it's within their powers to change the leadership of that country.
I understand.
It's within their powers to ensure, they say, to nullify or to interfere. But they can decide to say, look, because of the way that's everybody, public relation at personal level also apply at international level. People who don't like when things are done wrongly, if you don't do things rightly, they will not like to deal with you. They will like to invest in your country. They will like to, if you don't have good laws, if you don't have good institutions, they will not advise their citizens to come to your country and invest. The US now, as we speak, has posed a lot of sanctions on Nigeria about visa restrictions. That is, they're entitled to do so.
They are entitled to do so.
So they're entitled to do so as a way of showing their disaffection with the way we conduct our affairs. But that is where it ends. With other things, other bilateral trade agreement, other releasing aids. I think they have also tried to minimize their aids. They can do all those things. You understand? So, in such a way, of course, it tends to add. So, a country that is desirous, that is eager to maintain their friendship, might also try to tilt. But it's not as if
that is permitted, or that is the way it should be. They do it covertly, like we saw in the case of a U.S. election. That is during the 2016 presidential election. Russia interfered in the election. Of course, we know what Russia did. Russia went as far as leaking or hacking political parties' email. They ran social media disinformation campaigns to influence public opinion about some political parties. Of course, the U.S. intelligence agencies concluded that Russia interfered in the 2016 presidential election, and also Russia continued with that even in the next election. During 2020 election, Russia was publicly supporting Donald Trump, doing everything possible to ensure that Donald Trump becomes president, denigrating Joe Biden. They never wanted Joe Biden to be president. And the U.S. has interfered in many elections. In fact, there were times they interfered in Italy. They supported the anti-communist. They worked for the anti-communist.
They are pushing their selfish interests.
Okay.
Within the borders, within the limits of international relations. For the fact that I maybe from where you come from, I don't come from that place. I might have interest in who becomes your ego because probably I have business interest, if he's my friend or not, that kind of a thing. So you might have those interests. You might have a way of subtly exercising those interests. But what we are saying is not, it won't be as such as if you have the power to either nullify or put an end or change, or, but people will, me and you, didn't you have interest who becomes the president of U.S.?
Of course we had. And then if we could have our way, we could have find a way to support the candidate of the other party so that the party will win the election.
We are expressing our interest. This is person I want Kamala Harris to be president. But based on ideological alignment, what do you think you can benefit? People are thinking, okay, Kamala Harris become president, liberalism. That this visa restrictions wouldn't have imposed on Nigerians. Nigerians can migrate to UN. It will be easier immigration laws, will be more friendly. So that's why most of us, or some people, supported, even though they don't have the right to vote, supported, and even tried to engage their people, their friends, relations over there to please help me or vote for this person. We did that. Well, that is the best. That is the limit. That's the best we can do, and not more.
And not more.
And the same way, governments are also bound by that barricade. They are not supposed to cross that barricade.
But we've seen government bringing out funds to support the opposition candidates. Let me remind you that in 1948, the CIA provided millions in covert funding to anti-communist parties to prevent a communist victory.
Covert funding.
Covert.
It's covert because it's not permitted.
That is it. If you look at what happened in 1970, the US also attempted to block the Salvador alleged election through propaganda and funding the opponents. That's what they do. They have interest.
These are covertly done. If it's something that they can legitimately do at the full glare, then why would they be covert? That's what I'm saying. People pursue their interest, whether it is within their domain or outside their domain. People have interest. If I have a friend in America and he's contesting for the office of president, why wouldn't I raise resources to him for him to be president? Is that what I mean? So covert means that it's not something you are permitted to do. If you do that publicly, then you are in violation of the international law. You're in violation of international norms, preemptive norms of general international law. So that's what they do. They're supposed to covertly. Right. They need a government that is more friendly. They can manipulate. They can do business with that will yield some sort of subservience to them and things like that. So they covertly try to encourage the emergence of such people as as leaders of the sovereign states. Of course, they are entitled to do so, but covertly. When it is discovered, of course, it is also resisted.
Okay, because we learned that US seems to be interested in our 2027 election after tagging Nigeria a country of particular concern, according to some US sources, that if Nigeria fails to act on US concerns like religious persecution and other things, they have cited that it could also spell doom for those they may not want to come back. They can do and undo, but just like you said, they can do these things covertly. They are not permitted by the law to do some of these things. And we've seen US violating and infringing international laws, and nothing happens to them. Habu Odaliwu Ejenga. That's US for you. They keep violating, they keep doing their things without even minding. In fact, the UN Security Council have not been able to meet to talk about the arrest of Nicolas Maduro, the Venezuelan president, which the US said that they do not recognize. Many of them know the truth, but because that the US is on Taliwe Jenga, they have their answer time.
That is one of the weaknesses of this international organization. The countries like the US has grown so powerful and they contribute much more.
Even the headquarters is in their country.
So they do this outside. That is one of the demerits, one of the drawbacks of this, because they don't have the capacity to reign in all.
Yes.
All to reign in all, particularly the United States. They reign them in. They don't have the capacity because the UN has become. We are probably in a bipolar world.
Yeah.
Where the US is so So that is an exception to the general rule. So we have this, but that is an exception to the general rule. But principally, that is otherwise US will come and say, look, we want this person to be and they will enforce it now. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So, but they will not do so because they will have some restraint, and they will probably subtly or using the leeway provided by terrorism, lack of security, to interfere, and which I think is the right thing to do.
Okay,
because terrorism, genocide, these are international offenses that no nation, no country, no such community will not necessarily look the other way when it is perpetrated in the country.
Let's move away from that. Let's come down to other issue. I want us to just quickly talk about this because we spent so much time on this very particular one. The IGP appointment. Many people have expressed sentiments that Frank Mba was not appointed, that Mr. President looked the other way, that he could have appointed Frank Mba, who for us here is the most senior DIG. The most senior DIG, having been appointed DIG in 2023, and he has been that DIG till the appointment of the new Inspector General of Police. But the point remains that he had accelerated promotions. Let's have your take. Yes, we know that it is the prerogative of Mr. President to appoint anybody as the Inspector General of Police within the cadre of AIG and DIG. We know that very well. And Mr. President has chosen Olatunji Disu. He is first in the camp as a governor, whom he has found trust, whom he has found confidence to work with. Do you have any problem with that? Has he done anything wrong? Why would people say that it must be Frankenberg? Wait until you have your own to become president, so your president will quickly. I don't want us to waste time on this one.
Yes, let's turn, but it's important we put in perspective. I wouldn't want to talk about. It's that's the problem we have. Individual Frankenberg, what are the principles that underpins these actions? So if because I'm an able man, Frankenberg from Enugu State, I begin to talk about Frankenberg, that will, with all due respect, I don't think it will be proper for me to be so pigeonholed. But what is important? I'm looking at the Nigerian Constitution.
Okay.
Because you've said in your analysis that why letting appoint somebody he's confident to work with. That is not what it's supposed to be. It should be. If you're president of Nigeria, you see, when we look at the laws, the oath of office, you cannot tell me somebody. There are principles. The principle of federal character is there. It's found in section 14.
But it's not justiciable.
No.
It's just an advice.
It's not advice. It is
advisorial.
Just hold on. It is not. You cannot go to because it's not. You won't have. I cannot go to and say Fred must appoint prime. I'm coming now.
It's not.
Even if just hold on.
Okay.
Allow me to express myself. You cannot go to and President must appoint president, but president has a duty. You see, the president of a country is not like me and shouldn't be like me and you.
And when he fails, what happens?
No, I'm coming. That is why our country, people, you said the US said our country is a country of particular
country of particular
concern. That's why we are a country of particular concern. That is why the other person called us
fantastically, corrupt.
So that is why we get all these appeals in the United Kingdom. So these are done by conventions and they don't fail. Because they're ruled by unwritten constitution. Unwritten. But we are writing our own every day. Still, we don't adhere to it. The UK is governed by unwritten constitution, by conventions. And those conventions are like laws etched into the heart of the system.
Yeah, I like your sermons.
No, coming. So, in the particular, you're saying, and even the president, section 215 of the Constitution says, the president, there shall be IGP police shall be appointed by the president on the advice of the Nigerian Police Council. Section 216 section 2 says that the president cannot appoint or remove IGP police without consulting the Nigerian Police Council.
Are these things obeyed?
And why wouldn't it be obeyed? No,
but they're not.
No, why? That's what I'm saying. That is why you are country of particular concern. Section 1 of the.
You said I'm a country of, or you are the country of particular.
Me and you.
Oh, both of us. No, I'm not part of it. You are.
Me and
I'm
you.
not.
That's why we are all country of particular. You say, I don't know. It's meant to be. Section 1 of the Constitution says this constitution is supreme and shall be bound on all powers and authorities throughout the Federal Republic of Nigeria. Section 2 says, no person that just cannot be governed except in accordance with this constitution. So if you deliberate and you swear, take an oath of office to abide by as president, as a governor, as a lady, to abide by, and you not do otherwise, that is why you are.
What would you have done?
So now, what you would have done, coming to directly to your question.
Yeah.
So it's not an issue of Frankenberg. If there are certain things you take into consideration, I fought him. I don't have anything against Tunji Disu.
Okay.
It's not because he was ADC too. That's not a disqualifying factor anyway.
Okay.
I mean, that shouldn't be a disqualifying factor. This Tunji Disu might be a fantastic Nigerian. Everybody must have equal opportunity in accordance with the Constitution. But I think he has committed a breach of the Constitution, or he has allowed his personal interest to overwhelm his official decision, contrary to his when. In the face of what we have in the composition of the federal government of Nigeria as we speak, even security apparatus, it violates section 14 because we have a lot of people from that region, the chief of army staff, the SSS chief, and these are from. So why will it also, in base if you had adhered to the principle of federal character as enunciated on that section, that
Would
have
have
been weighing his mind
okay.
in ensuring that somebody else who is qualified.
And it mustn't be Frankenberg.
It mustn't be
It mustn't be Frankenberg.
Well,
So that people will not say it must be Frankenberg.
I'm not talking about persons.
You are not talking about person, you are talking about the process and procedure.
So I'm not here to go into ethnic enclave.
Yeah.
So that's why somebody, someone else, even when there are seniors to this senior person, someone else should be appointed. And the problem in appointing people from lower caste,
It will make others to
that is their
tradition.
Not backed by law anyway.
They're not backed by law. You
so
mean it's not backed by law? So these people that will be retired any moment from now, they can challenge that in court.
Of course, yes. It's not backed by law. I will come to that.
We don't have time. I want you to be very.
I've said already that it's not backed by law.
Okay.
It's a kind of practice that has hurt the Nigerian system, hurt our the money.
So if they retire Frankenberg, he can challenge that in court. He has any right
on,
to go to industrial court.
If they retire him on the basis
of appointment
of the fact that Tunji has been appointed, on that basis he can challenge
at the industrial court or federal high court.
It depends on what his claim is.
Okay, because
we saw which court he will approach.
Okay,
depends on if it's a pure interpretation of the Constitution. I want the court to interpret the Constitution.
All right.
Whether
it is right on
the appointment of so whether that also will lead to my retirement when I have not attained the age of 60 years or 35 years service with the court, then they can appoint the federal high court for that. Okay. Is what I mean.
Okay. Because we saw Jitibo, who approached industrial courts when a Wetokun was appointed in 2003. He was DIG. He was once aide-de-camp to President Goodluck Jonathan. And many people were thinking that he was going to be the successor to former IG of Police Usman Akali Baba. But at the same time, Mr. President chose Ebwetokun. Ebwetokun at that time was also a DIG, remember? But Jitibo was a DIG, senior to Ebwetokun. But he went to industrial court to challenge his compulsory retirement by Police Service Commission.
But
he won.
He didn't challenge the right of the president to appoint.
He was challenging his retirement.
Let's make a distinction so before people begin to misunderstand us. Okay. The president of Nigeria has the prerogative. Is entitled to appoint. Section 215 says to appoint the IG of police on the advice of from amongst the only person who will not appoint is somebody who is not a police officer. From the police.
Or not to the rank of AIG.
The constitution did not say rank of AIG.
We have the police.
The constitution. Excuse me. The constitution. I did not read the rank of AIG. The president can appoint commissioner of police as the IG of police.
Let me look for the interpretation.
No, I'm coming. I'm dealing with you with the ground norm. Is that what I mean? So he has the right to appoint. The only restriction is also imposed by section 14(3) and says these are the restrictions that he has to consider. It's not a question of this person is from this person I can deal with. No, if you are president of Nigeria, you can deal with every Nigerian qualified to occupy any office. If you are the governor of a state, you can deal with any indigenous, every Nigerian who is entitled or qualified to occupy office. That person will not be discriminated against based on the issue of where he comes from, sex on things that is against our constitutional provision. So that is the distinction that I think I need to make. He can appoint any AIG or DIG, mustn't be. But whether by appointing a junior one, others will now be forced to retire, is what I consider unlawful, unconstitutional. And like you said in the case you mentioned, so the man has gone to court and the court pronounced on it. So that is the law. But where I read, I said I understand. I understand where I read the issue of that DIG. What is his name now?
Jitibo.
Oh, okay. They said he died a day before the court
the judgment was made. He didn't see the judgment.
They said he died a day before the judgment was made.
Yes. He didn't see the judgment.
Now, issue would have been when a person has gone to court trying to ventilate personal issue and he dies.
It ends there.
That on his death, the matter terminates.
The matter terminates.
At his death.
The matter terminates.
Except it's an issue
that has to do with the brother.
But if an issue action personal is only to come personal, the actions of a person dies with the person. On the day he dies,
that matter
before the judgment, so whether the court has jurisdiction to deliver the judgment after he had died, it's another legal issue.
Yes, okay.
You know, so I think I submit that the court, after the death of the man on that day, even though the court has a job for judgment, the court has ceased to have jurisdiction to deliver the judgment.
Okay.
But that doesn't detract from the fact that that is the law.
Okay.
Right. So anybody can leverage on that.
All right.
Frank Mba and other DIGs who, if they are forced to retire on that basis, can leverage on that to say, no, I don't want to retire.
All right. We know very well that Section 7, Subsection 6 of the Police Act 2020 provides that a person appointed as Inspector General of Police shall be a serving member of the Nigerian Police Force, not below the rank of Assistant Inspector General of Police. That's the Police Act 2020, Section 7, Subsection 6. And it's more like in support to the Constitution. The Constitution did not specify the rank.
I'm coming now.
The Constitution did not specify the rank, but
the Constitution
specifies the rank.
Does not. The Constitution says must be, doesn't specify rank.
The rank, yeah, exactly.
So the Police
Act not specified.
But in constitutional, you cannot add or take away. So
but there is lacuna. But this one has specified.
You cannot.
It was broad.
Coming now. That's not the issue.
Oh, that's not the issue here.
But let's, for the sake of argument, push it further. If, assuming that the president appoints a commissioner of police, and you say no, the Police Act says it must be. He will tell you, the Constitution gives me the power to appoint
anybody. But now the question now is, they will now look if there is a conflict between Police Act and the Constitution, and if there is no conflict between the two, the Police Service Act.
How do you see? That's a conflict already. If the Constitution says appoint person for the police force, and Act says appoint AIG, that's conflict now.
Okay, you mean there is conflict. Let's leave that, because I'm going to come back, because we don't have time for this argument. I'm going to come back. Okay. Now, let's talk about what happened in a number of states. We saw a situation where the popular native doctor was sentenced to 11 months in prison. We've seen the plea bargain and other things. Let's get a thought about what happened quickly, because of time, so that we can open.
I think thank you for the opportunity to deal with this issue. You see, I am appalled by what I read, by what happened. You see, it's quite unfortunate looking at the judgment. They say the man has pleaded guilty to the offense. I've read Anambra State's Homeland Security Law. Section 18 clearly talks about the offense for which he was charged with. Any person who, under the guise of working or anything, who administers child, the law says shall, on conviction, be sentenced to 6 years imprisonment or 20 million fine, or both. That is the provision of Section 18 of the Homeland Security. And if you look at the Administration of Criminal Justice Law of Anambra State, that is a billable offense. Is that what I mean? So now,
and it's at the discretion of the courts.
Just hold on.
At the discretion of the court to give a bail or not to give a bail.
Continue.
No, I'm
so I won't allow. I want who says it's a billable offense.
Okay.
Allow me to express my
please
thought.
Go.
So that is a billable discretion. Okay, now they've decided to go into the area of the realm of discretion. Discretion is not exercised arbitrarily. There are laid down procedures for exercising. No court will exercise discretion by rule of the thumb. There are principles of exercise of discretion that they must take into consideration. Discretion is not a matter in law. It's not something you can say, okay, no, but it's not. It's not what I mean. So that should address that. So now it's a billable offense. Section 36(5) says a man charged shall be presumed to be until proven guilty. For this billable offense, you arrested this person. I am not in any way. I think that provision is good enough. But what I'm interested in the observance of the law. You know, he arrested somebody and he has been in detention from what I heard about 13 months. He was not granted bail. You understand? Over an offense that is bailable. Under Section 71 of criminal bailable. He was not granted bail. He was being held, I understand, in the facility of Aguna Chamber or what?
Aguna Chamber.
And which doesn't have the power, the right, constitutionally speaking, to also detain anybody.
But the question is, who detained them?
Allow me. So these are. What I'm saying is what I know as a fact, as an expert on this.
Okay.
And I'm ready to take anybody on this issue. Because the law. Why the law is good to be applied across borders, because you wouldn't know whether it will be you.
Oh, the next
look at the Erufai. Look at Malami.
Okay.
The law they subverted. It's not being used to, isn't it? So that's why the law.
So what it means that even the way
so now tomorrow it could be you, me, or
no, it will not be me.
No, it say it could be. I don't say it will.
Okay.
I say it could.
Okay.
So anybody can fall victim of arbitrariness.
Okay.
So now the point I'm making is that you did not grant this man bail. The man is in your custody. I'm not going to chamber. I now said he has entered the plea bargain. Section 10, subsection 10, section 156 of the criminal justice says anybody to enter plea bargain must not be under duress. Must not be under. It must be for his own. That man is not incapable. He's not capable.
Have you listened to the council to?
Let me tell you what.
Because of time.
No,
we
don't tell me what I've listened to it, but
What did he say?
No, come in. This profession for good.
What did he say?
No,
so that we can really mirror this thing.
Let me conclude my thought.
Okay.
The plea bargain. So I announced that the plea bargain. You can enter. There are other section 156 of the. You can enter plea bargain at the time this man has taken his plea.
Okay.
He didn't enter this plea bargain at the time he was charged.
Okay.
That plea bargain was taken immediately in the middle of
the trial.
Section 10 of the section 156 says if you enter plea bargain when you cannot enter plea bargain when at the session or after the prosecution has concluded or during their prosecution before the opening of the defense. That can happen.
Okay.
So if there has open defense, it cannot happen legally.
Okay.
That is what the law says.
Okay.
And subsection 10 also says that, and it has been shown in all laws, that when a person who is alleged to have committed a crime is arrested, you must give him the liberty, the freedom to. And it's not somebody is in your custody. You are holding him. You are feeding him. You are feeding him for 11 or 13 months for an offense that is available. And I said, won't he say anything to go home?
All right, let me now ask you something.
If you are the one, won't you agree on anything to go home?
I think Honorable Shiwenwezo, we know very well he was arraigned. From the records we have here, he was arraigned and possibly he had taken his plea. And then, of course, he pleaded at first not guilty.
Yeah, of course, yes.
And the trial began. And then the court gave a remand order. Nobody can detain anybody without a remand order of the court. So there was a remand order by the court, and it was agreed by the court that these people shall. God gave a body permission to detain this person. And they detained him based on the ruling of the court. And that was how the process, the procedure, the trial began. Now, that is or for issue of detaining him and all that. And I just say that you said that the discretion on the issue of bail should not be by the rule of thumb, that there are guiding principles that must also coordinate that. But the question, where that is not done, what happens to the judge?
Tony, you see, when I speak, let me tell you, you said the court detained them by warrant. I've told you specifically.
Yeah.
The court is not. There are rules, there are laws. The court is bound
to respect the rules.
I've told you that it's a bailable offense, and I understand the application for bail.
Okay, before the court.
Which the court did not hear.
Why?
That is the question for the court.
That is the question for the court.
Yes. Which the court, there's no way you file application before a court. The court must hear it one way or the other. Then if the court refuses the application, then it can appeal. If the court grants it, then the other person who is agree can appeal. The court cannot say, I will not, or try to maneuver out of hearing that application. The court did not. Okay, at the end of the day, he has been sentenced to 11 months imprisonment, which is a sentence that falls into a misdemeanor. If the law says if somebody is charged a misdemeanor is an offense for which a person commits is sentenced for less than 6 months or not beyond and less than 3 years.
Okay.
So if you sentence him for 11 months, which means ordinarily is something to be a misdemeanor. And the law says section 171 says in a misdemeanor the court shall grant bail. Shall grant. There are 3 principles. If it's a capital offense, only the High Court can grant bail on special circumstances.
All right.
Then before, this means you're not entitled to bail. Just allow me
I want you to explain what is plea bargain to.
I'll come to
because
that.
it is important.
I'll come to that. Allow me to exhaust this. So that you understand the enormity of the gravity of the anomaly that has happened. In issue of bail, if somebody is charged before a court with an offense, if it is a capital offense, the court will not grant you bail except on exceptional circumstances. Such circumstances will mean in section, I'm talking about section 1, if the person is so ill that there's no facility in the prison to take him, because he's the only person who is alive that will respond, that will attend to his charge, or if the other reasons. So the court does not normally grant bail, except it is not left for the person who is applying for bail to show exceptional circumstances. The order to if the case is a felony, the law says the court may grant bail. Grant bail if it is a felony. You know, being felony means an offense. If convicted, you will be sentenced to 3 years imprisonment or more. You know, or life or death or 3 years imprisonment or more, or any offense. It's got to be a felony.
All right.
So then the other says if it is a misdemeanor, the court shall, even if you don't have a lawyer to advocate for, the court will grant you bail.
But under Anambra State's Homeland Security law, is not seen as demeanor. But you are citing the criminal code or the
how can Anambra State Security law be operate without the administration of criminal justice law?
Okay.
You know, it cannot.
But
because administration of criminal justice law is what the law that governs prosecution, trial in court.
Right.
So now, I have told you, and you talk about plea bargain.
Okay.
He cannot plea bargain. Somebody who was later committed an offense was not released on bail, was not on bail for an offense that is clearly bailable, has been held in the custody of those people who are prosecuting him, held in their custody, and you then come to say after 13 months that he has again a plea bargain. With that, then the secretary says plea bargain must be free of any
duress. You have said it here.
Yes. Therefore, it is, and it has been held by in plethora of cases.
All right.
Let me drop this bunch.
Okay.
In plethora of cases, that when the police or any detaining authority detaining somebody for such a prolonged time, that person cannot reasonably exercise his will as to enter into a negotiation.
All right.
So
that's a point you made here. But I understand that even the defense, of course, they have avenues. When you made an application for bail and it's not heard, you can challenge that at appeal court. If you make an application for bail and the court or the judge refuses to hear your bail application, you can take it to appeal court. But they have all this room to address some of the concerns you mentioned here. But it is also incumbent upon them to either follow that, because when you follow a case,
the man. That's why I'm surprised when I see that man on during those days on social media, where he was a lot of things. I didn't know the man is so empty. To all due respect.
How do you mean he's empty?
As somebody at that level, somebody at that level who put himself up to have a kind of resources, not to contact people who will know what to do. I'm disappointed.
Are you surprised the way all his calabash and everything was burned?
Look at calabash. Okay.
People may have gone mad.
In that judgment,
they thought that
why would they go to burn his property? They said that
it was part of the agreement.
Which agreement? So
with the plea bargain agreement.
That is what I'm telling you. That is what
I listened to the lawyer. The lawyer said that.
No, listen.
Hold on. I wanted to mention this, but he did not mention it. The lawyer was asked a question: are you happy with the plea bargain entered with the government? And the lawyer replied, we can play it here. He said, if he's not happy on what he freely entered into, that he's happy. That's what they bargained. That is what they entered with the government. And that is what government has also kept on their own side to give him a consent judgment. I listened to it. We can play it here.
Tony Zambeki, I've listened to the lawyer too.
Okay.
I'm not telling you if you would want our listeners what the law is saying. I listened to the law. Why wouldn't somebody you have held, the one who wants to go home, don't they take to the police for 2 days, 3 days? I'm asking you, that will not say the man has confessed. Have you not seen that? The man has admitted the offense. Because the man has been kept in that room now. He will admit to so he can go home.
Not just him, there are others anyway. I hope you're aware.
I'm coming. So, any
plea. The lawyer will say because all the man wants his freedom. He has been held against his will, and he put application for bail, which was not hard, which was not.
He could have gone to appeal court.
That's coming now, which was not hard. And why would the court not? Why would the court properly constituted not hear an application for bail in a matter in offense that is bail that is a bailable offense? No, I'm coming. Allow me to. It's just because Nigerians are listening.
Okay.
And they need to know. Why would a court of law not listen to application bail one way or the other? So they can exercise their right. And why would the court of law entertain a plea bargain where the other party is a victim of the other person is bargaining with? In the context of agreement, each person entering the agreement must be a free agent. In the context of agreement, it cannot be ad idem when you are not a free agent. If you are in the custody of the person you are agreeing with, that vitiates consent.
All right, Honorable Chibu, because of time, I would have asked you this question, but I don't have time to even get your response.
Therefore, that court was remiss. Okay, look at the say to go and burn his that. And when the court judgment is entered, you don't just go immediately. And who are those that went to burn? Is it court bailiffs?
All right.
No.
Now,
who are those that went to burn his property? Is it the court officers of the court under the officers of the court, or people other people who claim
that is another thing. That is another thing.
They don't have right to do so.
Now the question is, I wanted to ask you, Honorable Chibu, if you were the lawyer, what would you have done when? I wanted to ask you this. We don't have time. Okay, most time when you go on to sermonize, I try to bring you down because of time.
Thank you.
We manage time.
Now,
I ask this question again. If you were the lawyer, when you apply for bail as your client and the judge refuses your bail application, what would you have done?
If I am in that case, and I apply for bail,
yes,
the court must hear the bail application.
And if they say no,
he must.
No,
he
said no.
Allow me now.
I said no. What else would you have done? He said must.
Okay, just hold on. Will you answer for me?
Please, go on.
The court must hear that application. If the court fails to, it will raise the issue of impropriety for which I can petition. Yes, allow me.
I want you to just make that very statement you want to make now.
I make the statement for me.
You said petition. That's what I want to hear.
Allow me now. I'm saying it now.
Because of time. I said go straight to the
Don't jacket me. If you don't have time, let's go until when next we have time. So, but allow me. If I am in that case and you make application for a bail application, the court must hear. That's what the law says. Okay. The court must hear, because if the court refuses to hear an application after I have urged, then the court shows likelihood of bias already, for which I will apply that judge to recuse himself. If he refuses, then I know the procedural step I will take to call him, to bring him to order. I
think that's what I want to hear. When I say if he refuses, and you say it must, and I've said if he refuses,
I said he must, because he is duty bound. The law says
you apply so law. We know how these people apply this law. Let's quickly take a moment.
In every application, the court must hear the application one way. I will not tell you what to decide, but you must listen and hear and make a ruling.
All right, let's quickly take this break, because I know very well that sometimes lawyers, when they appear before these judges, the way they talk before these judges, they may not even say these things outside, their face. Or you know how these things work.
It depends on lawyer, not me.
Not their kind of lawyer. All right, thank you so much. Let's go. Because you're a senior lawyer. Let's go for this commercial break. When we come back, and we are going to put the full lines for you to start making your comments. I would have wanted us to look at other issues, but because Honorable Chibu wants to take his time to explain something. No, because of time we cannot. No, we cannot. Because that was exactly why I was actually. No.
Udala Radio, 104.7 FM.
Correct gist our people. Udala Radio get better news for now. We don't join hand with one serious mobile gaming company, and we carry something big come for Onitsha people. You get phone abi? You like game? You want play with millions of players from different countries, or you just one day play and they win? Then this one now for you. Make you come join our gaming community now. You fit stand chance to make name for yourself as you dey play and dey earn. The better you sabi the game, the bigger your reward. If you dey interested, no do yourself or just send text message with your phone number, your full name, your email address, request, send am go 0803 350 4206 to register. No miss the opportunity o. Na better chance to join something wey go sweet and reward you well well. All you need na just your phone. You fit dey anywhere, dey play, dey earn reward. Send your details now to 0803 350 4206. I go talk am again, 0803 350 4206. Make we start you up today. Udala Radio, we dey always bring una the correct best.
Quality bread, Wendy's bread, for your family breakfast. Wendy's bread, Abachi chane to yellow. Wendy's bread, Mama Papa they like Wendy's bread, Chichane nyandu. Wendy's bread, even children they like Wendy's bread. Wendy's bread, Anita. Wendy's bread, you get it better tasty, we go sweet your belly. Wendy's bread, Wendy's
Wendy's bread, tasty bread. You can contact us on our official address, Second Business Park, Enugu Road, GRA, beside FM Onitsha, Anambra State. We also have another branch at St. Michael Plaza, Atani Road. Also contact us on 070-1149-1571. Wendy's bread, your tasty bread.
Wendy's bread.
Caveat emptor. This is to notify the general public that the 4 fenced plots of land situated at the federal government staff quarters near former government house area of kilometer 45 Enugu Onitsha Expressway, Oka, Anambra State, is a bona fide property of the federal government of Nigeria. The general public is strongly advised to desist from entering into dealings with any individual over the federal government land except the federal government represented by the Federal Ministry of Housing and Urban Development, Field Headquarters, Oka, and authenticated allottees. Any party who deals with such other individuals, community, or agency in respect of the land does so at his or her own risk. Let the public beware. Signed, Office of the Federal Controller, Federal Ministry of Housing and Urban Development, Anambra State Field Headquarters, Oka.
When you think of roofing, think of strength. When you think of durability, think of beauty. And when you think of all three combined, think Best Aluminium MFG Limited. At Best Aluminium, we don't just manufacture roofing sheets. We create protection, comfort, and style for your home and business. Whether you're building from scratch or repairing an old roof, we have exactly what you need. Our products include stone-coated roofing sheets, aluminum roofing sheets, and colored roofing sheets. But that's not all. We also offer residential and commercial roofing services, roof repairs, gutters, emergency roofing services, and even durable cookwares that bring quality to your kitchen. Visit us today at 30/32 Anyika Street, Awada Obosi, Anambra State, or call us right now on 0806 416 2374 or 0706 059 6203.
Udala Radio, 104.7 FM.
Yeah, welcome back. It's still Crossfire on Udala 104.7 FM. Onitsha, this very beautiful, beautiful Saturday morning, the 28th day in the month of February in the year 2026. I'm still here with Honorable Shibo Enwezo. And just like we always say, this is Crossfire, and you can feel the fire. The fire is being exchanged. It's also being crossed. And I will just ask one more question. We open the phone lines and then allow you to come in. And after time, we'll also come back and then take care. He will maybe respond to your questions or your comments and other things you may have. Honorable Chibuenwezo, please, in a sentence, what is plea bargain?
Plea bargain is a kind of criminal law code system where the accused person, the defendant, and the prosecutor will, in certain circumstances, if the prosecutor and the accused person admit, or it will take longer time and resources to prosecute that case, and the accused person knows or admit that he is guilty of the offense or guilty of the lesser offense if it's not the main offense is not proved, they now enter into plea again to save the time for public policy and for other reasons. Two, the accused person will admit to the offense, and the agreement, the enter into agreement, policy that the court will now issue a sentence or a verdict based on the agreement that the court wouldn't have given. The court might be more lenient in giving the verdict because the person has saved the time of the court, saved the time of the state in resources. It's that kind of a thing. So you bargain, plea bargain. That is a no introduction in a criminal law system.
All right.
You know.
All right, let's quickly open the phone lines. And remember, you can make your comments on social media. Go to our Facebook, just search Udala 104.7 FM, or you can also search Udala FM. You can see us on Facebook because you may not have time to accommodate many calls. I know many of you are itching to make your submission. Let's quickly open the phone lines. You can call 0803 221 6973 or 0803 827-6694. We know how we started from the rejection by the opposition party. They rejected the timetable. In fact, they said the timetable itself is a booby trap because of the digital registration INEC has forced them to render on or before April. And they're saying, how can we give you comprehensive digital register? Oh, INEC, APC started their own since 2025 and they want us to do our own within the space of 2 months. We cannot accept this. A lot of things said by the opposition. Of course, we looked at the DIG, IG appointment, the agenda, so many other things we looked at our work. If time permits us, we may have a touch on Onitsha main market, but let's go straight to the phone lines. Good morning, you're welcome.
Good morning, my honorable speaker.
You're welcome.
And the parents are doing well in the house.
Good morning, my brother.
I am honorable and I'm calling from Plateau.
You're welcome. You have a minute.
Thank God that the battle between the Anambra State government and the Akwokoko have come to an end. But sorry, please, I have a little question.
Please go on. Just
because,
make it. Just go on.
The question is very simple. In those kids or whatever he does, during the integration, did the government tell us that there's any threat of human blood or whatever in preparing those charms? This I would like to know.
All right, Honorable Chibo will answer that in due course. Let's go back to the phone lines. Good morning, you're welcome. It's good to have you.
My name is Badmos.
You're welcome.
I'm calling from Umewu.
You're welcome, Badmos.
Please, I want to ask. Now that the Akwokoko has said 13 months, that is a year and 1 month in detention.
All right.
And George sentenced him to, is it 2 years?
11 months from what we've got or what we heard so
11
far.
months.
Yeah.
So, will he stay another 11 months or will they calculate the 13 months he stays there, which means he's equally a free man based on my calculation.
All right. That's the
I don't
question.
know the calculation of the court.
Honorable Chibo will answer that question.
Okay, then finally, on the issue of election,
okay.
You know, Nigerian politicians, I don't know what is wrong with them. They are just beating the bush. They will keep on talking. The election will come and go. They will go to court, and everything will slide down. Thank you.
All right, thank you so much. Let's go to the phone lines again. Good morning, you're welcome. It's good to have you.
Wonderful morning to you, Senior Stambeki.
You're welcome.
My regards to Council at the studio, the Senior Council, Chibo Enwezo.
Good morning.
Honorable Dikan, I'm bringing from Onitsha.
You're welcome.
Going straight to the point here. We need America to intervene in this forthcoming 2027 election.
But you listen to our guest where you say that they don't have right to interfere, that there is international law, and it's outside those things they can interfere.
Not when America is involved. They are striking Iran with Israel right now. You rightly quoted it. Nalabo Daliwe Jenga. We need those Daliwe Jenga in Nigeria here. We need to get our electoral, because all this law the council is talking about is for the poor, for the innocent masses. Look at the judgment. They can't even hear one application. Are you getting it? So that's the sure you need to know. And I don't expect America, to just sit back and hand over to a government that have been indicted, that are paying millions of naira to the bandits. It's on record. So we call on them to actually look deep. I think Obama intervened in Jonathan's election. So what prevents Donald Trump? Although America is already here, I don't need to teach them their job. Now, coming to issue of member case, Honorable Speaker, to be frank with you, what is happening in Onitsha today in Anambra State is affecting all the businesses. This place is as cold as anything you can think of in business. People are no longer coming in here. We need to tread with caution. The other time we were shut down, motorcycle market. I don't know what's going on in the market, whether demolition or whatever. The tipper drivers are not working.
All right. Because of time, we have to let you go, Honorable DK. When you say everything is collapsing, you have to contextualize it. You have to be under proper context. Let's go back to the phone lines. Good morning. You are welcome.
Yeah, very good morning to you, Dr. Tunu Sabiki.
You're welcome.
And good morning to you, the barrister.
Good morning. Good morning.
Yeah, Chidi Chukuma joining you from Bo.
You're welcome, Chidi
yes,
Chukuma.
I thank our guest this morning for giving us a legal perspective on different issues this morning. And on the issue of Wakwako Gotiwelako, it's not only him. We have somebody here. Onyeze Jesus is equally languishing in detention. If you want to resort to extraordinary order, that means that you don't have any regard to law. Because most of the time that it has happened, yes, you see that there is no due regard to our law, following the due process of the law. You can't infringe on the right of people because you want to fight a particular cause. You have to follow law, and the law as it is, and not the other way around. And that is why you see people, they did not give them any chance, just like getting something under duress. And that is exactly what will happen. And therefore, we don't like it, no matter. The thing that when it happened to another person, people will keep quiet.
All right.
You don't know what will happen tomorrow, whether it could be you or me. So on the issue of appointment...
All right, I think we have to let you go because of time. We have to manage your time. Good morning. You're welcome. It's good to have you. You're welcome. It's good to have you.
Good morning. Good morning, sir. Barrister.
You're welcome.
Good morning.
Thank you. My name is Basilu. I'm calling you from Onitsha.
You're welcome. Please go on.
My barrister, I want to ask a question because you have been talking about law. Everything you said here is all about law. And I want to ask you, is there any institution that is working in Nigeria that will make the law to be effective? That's the number one question.
Is there any institution that is working in Nigeria that makes any of this law to be well applicable? I think that's the way you...
let me use it. That is my question. Okay, thank you.
All right. Of course, you answer it in due course. Good morning. You're welcome. It's good to have you. Hello, Hello, good morning.
Morning.
You're welcome.
Hello.
You're welcome. Good morning. You're welcome.
Good morning.
You're welcome.
Plea bargain and then rule of law. You pay somehow by plea bargaining. I hope the lawyers are listening. Which means what you pay for, you are taking responsibility for your actions. That is probably equivalent to what you've done. Does that mean that you fail both ways? I remember to see the Hebrew case, and this plea bargaining thing came apart. What finally happened was that the plea bargain she offered was probably not equal to what the government took from her. So sometimes we have to extend this in slowly. I'm sorry my phone is not working well. Have a good day.
All right, thank you so much. You didn't tell us your name, but we know...
No, sorry, Odeze.
All right, thank you so much, Odeze, for your time.
You're welcome.
All right, thank you so much. Good morning. You're welcome. It's good to have you. Good morning. Are you there? Oh, so sorry about that. All right, let's see if we can just take. They are rushing the line side. That's why you hear all these sounds. Good morning.
Good morning.
Yeah, welcome. It's good to have you. You're welcome, Anthony Mecheta. Please make it brief.
Okay. I did the barrister in the studio for her.
You're welcome. You are in. Hold on. You are in a place where there is echo and you're very close to your radio. Please, you have to do the needful.
Okay, let me shift. Are you hearing it now?
Yes, please go on.
Okay. My question is simple because of the record I'm getting.
Okay.
That the sentence was 2 years. Just that the 30 months was deducted and now it's 11 months. So I want to get the accurate verdict of that judgment. Is it 11 months or 2 years? Where 13 months already taken was my loss. Please, let me get it.
All right, we'll get back to that. You asked the important question, which sentencing or according to you, 11 or 2 months or 2 years as rather, did they make deduction to arrive at that very 11 months? Good morning, you're welcome. It's good to have you.
Yes, good morning, Dr. Tony.
You're welcome. You're welcome, my brother.
Barrister, good morning to you.
Good morning, brother.
This is Henry from Onitsha, GRA.
You're welcome, Henry.
Barrister, I have a question. Apoko has been sentenced, has been punished so far. Now, the beneficiaries to that enterprise, I mean those that he rendered services to, like I had it this morning, one pastor was among them, and I think he's trending. And other people who go there to patronize him, Apoko. What is supposed to be their punishment? Relying on the concept of cross liability in law. Cross liability in law.
Concept of what?
Are they free?
Concept of what? Concept of cross liability. Cross liability, that's what he said. Cross liability. Yeah,
yes, cross liability, yes, in law. Okay? That is to say, for instance, cross liability. If you contract a vehicle to a driver and the driver has an accident without a vehicle, the driver does not only suffer the punishment. You, the owner of that vehicle, will have to partake in that punishment. That is cross liability. And we will have a lawyer there. He will explain. Thank you. So that's my question. The beneficiary, what is their punishment?
All right, beneficiary of the.
And I know that most of these persons would have caused a harm to the society as a result of that.
I think. All right, we got to a question. I think you answered it. Remember, he was convicted of OKT practice. And from what we've known, he will explain to our lawyer, the barrister, he will explain it by the time I give him the audience. He was convicted of OKT, and OKT is actually prohibited by the Anambra State Homeland Security Law. And he asked those who benefited from that OKT, having had a work or being convicted of OKT, what about the beneficiary of But we'll come back to that. I just wanted to note it down very well so that it forms part of things we were going to explain to us. Note it down so when we will start talking, you explain it. That's what he was actually saying. Good morning.
Good morning, Dr. Tony Lisambek.
You're welcome.
Good morning, the barrister in the house.
Good morning. Good morning.
Yes, I am Omura Okafor Regional. I'm calling from Onitsha.
You're welcome. Please go on.
Okay, the question I'm asking is this. There was, when we were discussing about the law, the law that our president signed about the election, whatever. When you were talking about it, you were saying that as far as the parliamentarians at the upper house has approved something, and the president has his own assent on it, that it is passed, and it cannot go back. But I'm just asking my question. If there is no compromise on that very upper house, they were divided. Most of them were not in support of the something. How is it going to be described in the Nigerian politics? Is it still democracy, or what do you call it? And how do you have it? Because if majority of them do not support the something, and the minority or whatever, or those people use their influence as the power that be, go to the president to if the president has sense on it, what will be? What will we tell the populace?
All right, thank you so much. Thank you so much. Let's allow Honorable Chibo to come in. Honorable Chibo, from the report, because I'm just trying to see if I can cite the CTC copy of this very judgment. He was actually sentenced to 2 years imprisonment. He was convicted of felony, not even misdemeanor. And he was convicted on count 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, excluding count 1 and 2 and the other counts. And these counts 2 years, they are to run concurrently, and then based on that plea bargain, they entered with the state government. It was restructured, having taken into consideration the 13 months he has spent. So they restructured it that he has the 11 months remaining, taking into consideration the 13 months he has already spent in detention. So please, you have a lot of questions, plethora of questions. I don't know where you begin.
Let me first of all yes, it was from the law, Anambra State Consecutive Law.
Yeah.
The law says, Section 18 says, if somebody is convicted, he will be sentenced to 6 years imprisonment.
Okay.
And for the definition of felony in the Anambra State Administrative Justice Act, 6 years imprisonment is felony.
Okay.
It says felony says an offense if convicted.
Okay.
For which somebody is on for 3 years and above. So it's a felony.
Okay.
That is not in contention.
Okay.
Then I agree to that. It's a felony. Then the issue, somebody said that those people, now he has been found guilty. Those people who
benefited from
benefited from
the case. What about them?
What about them? Then let me inform him. And there's something it says about cost. You mentioned about one
cross.
I'm not aware of
cross liability.
I'm not aware of that principle in law. So
Okay.
one, secondly, they are what we call in criminal law. They are what we call parties to an offense.
Okay.
They are parties to an offense. They are people who commit the offense. Actually, that is the participants criminals. There are people who commit the offense. It can be a particular offense if you are the person who the actus reus, who are the person who commit the offense. You can be a particular offense if you are an accessory. If you help the person to be able to commit the offense, that is an accessory before the fact.
Okay.
Your act is to help you enable the person by whatever means. Either you are the one who you enable, and he was going to commit that offense because he must be actus reus and mens rea. They also what they call accessory after the fact. Somebody who has committed an offense, maybe the person stole. You not take what he was stealing and come and keep safely, and it was stolen, and keep. You are party to the offense. So if the person is being charged for the offense he committed, you are also a party because you facilitated or you helped to hide somebody who committed an offense. You are accessory after the fact, and you are aware he committed an offense. So to answer his question directly, those people who benefited, when you talk about benefited, is there any proof to so? So any of those people you mentioned did not come into any of those people I have mentioned. So there's nothing like that. Who benefited from what? Who are those people who benefited?
If he has rendered Okite to somebody, giving Okite to somebody to go home for Awele and other things.
So how do you now judge benefit? How do you now assess who benefited? And if anybody fall into the category of what I mentioned, they should have apprehended that person.
But if he mentions those, what if the Akwakoko now goes on to mention those he has rendered Okite? Can those people be arrested? And
so what is if somebody the law did not say if somebody gets
the service, you are the one doing it.
That's not what the law says.
Okay.
So that's not so that is that. Okay. I think that. Then somebody was talking about sentencing. I think sentencing. Yes, let us. They said the man he was sentenced to 2 years, which is maybe 24 months. Is it 24 months?
24 months.
24 months. Then if you deduct the 13 months.
The 13 months, that should be around...
they say he has spent 30... I wasn't the one who returned him.
Okay.
So if he has said he has spent 13 months, then you now deduct, then he will now serve the remainder because the time he has spent in custody will be reckoned with in knowing the actual time he will now spend in prison. Do you understand?
Exactly.
But the question is, now, it brings us to another issue.
It's just 24 minus 13 gives you 11.
Okay, exactly. Okay, so what is not tallies? That what was giving him was 2 years imprisonment.
Okay.
But he's going to actually spend 11 months more because he already spent 13 months in the custody while he was being tried. So because that will be reckoned with in calculating system. Then if he has spent 13 months, and if the whole land security law of Anambra State was passed in January
2025. Amended law,
January.
Yes, because there was formal law.
There was a law
before.
So let's even make Lady Jara rule.
Okay.
in case there is no
law in principle before now.
Principle. But if there is law,
yeah.
If there is no law, then I think they cannot make a law retroactive. But if there was the law before it was amended, then probably it was well within the ambit of that law. Then somebody else was talking about talked about do you have institution that will
effectively
make
ensure that every law is applicable the way it should be.
I was talking about law. Yeah. Let me tell him, if there is no law, he won't be where he is now. We are all in Nigeria now working.
Let me give you an instance. Maybe you explain better. The law says bail is free, but if you go to police stations, bail is not free, and you see them doing these things, collecting money for bail, and nobody does anything.
Well, there's that.
Please. And there are things the law say in flagrant to that law. You see those who violate it openly.
Violation itself means that it's a law, because you cannot violate anything. When you talk about violation, it means that it's a law already. But you are dealing with the issue of violation. Exactly. So the point that that is why I am here. That is why you are here. That's why we are speaking that the law will, if the law is not being, if the institutions are not functioning, that is why I'm here. That's why I said, there's nothing personal. I've talked about the president in the appointment. I talked about the court in the issue, to say that these things, to point out the loopholes, that things must be done according to law. But it's only when things are done according to that we have a free society. You understand what I mean? You have a progressive society. To the extent to which we are not progressive, is to the extent to which we are not doing things according to law. So that is why we must build. That is why I left what I was doing. That's why you left what you were doing, to come here to speak on this issue, that we will be better, in doing things in Nigeria. That's why people try to amendment of the Constitution, of the Electoral Act, so that we can have a better electoral system. But the institutions must. Why I'm speaking here today, and I also made allusions to the judgment on the court case, is to show that these institutions are not beyond criticisms. They must be subjected to the criticism of ordinary men, so that they will do things will work better for everybody. Law that is called the rule of law, equality before the law must speak in the same language to everybody. Is that what I mean? So that's why you must get things done rightly. Then one caller was talking about. I think the issue of 30 months and it has been dealt with. If you got me, so one caller was talking about somebody was talking about parts, whether Pullman Parks was there. Pullman Parks was if
like Bloodstain.
If Pullman Pass, if it was found to have been dealing with Pullman Pass, then the offense is because it cannot. Human pass will be part of a dead person. Yeah. The issue, either he killed or he was instrumental. So his issue will not be. The charge would have been a case of murder, for which I don't think anybody can enter plea again. For which
no plea again for murder.
So
is there no plea again for murder?
Yes, I don't think anybody can enter plea again. So if from the charge, I don't think anything has to do with human parts.
Based on the charges.
Based on the charge. Based on Section 18, they're all dealing with who administers all key, in the way of making him to think he's going to make money, other than the normal way of making money. So there's no issue of human past from the evidence, from the charge. So that's why what he was charged with is a billable offense of that attracts 6 years or 20 million or both. Yeah. So no issue of human part. If there is issue of human part, of course he'll be subjected to interrogation to find out who are responsible, because the human part you can't have human parts if you dismember human being.
All right, we are completely out of time, Honorable Chibuenwezo. Thank you so much. But let me acknowledge some of our listeners who made posts on our social media. We saw your post, but time will not permit me to read it. Also, Nzekwe Celestine, we saw your post. Time will not permit me to read it. Anoms Amy, we saw your post. Time will not permit me. Ma Olebara, we saw your post. Time will not permit me. Ihediora Abose, we saw your post. More Dominic, we saw your post. Jesse Joyce Onyebuchi, we saw your post. More Dominic, and then so many other people, we saw your post. Time will not permit me to read anyone. I'm sincerely sorry for not reading any